Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. I am solo today. It is a very weird day in Chicagoland area. It's sunny now. 10 minutes ago, it was pouring, cats and dogs. But hey, happy Monday. We're here. We are having a good time. And we're here to talk about the Chicago Bears as they're getting ready to prep for training camp. We are very excited now that OTAs are over. It looked like a lot of fun. We saw a lot of good highlight clips from a lot of the younger guys and the new members of this team. And now we can fully focus on mini camp where the guys are going to be hitting. They're going to be doing more plays and they're going to be working together as an entire team. And that starts next week. So stay tuned for that. But today we are going to kick off the review of the different areas again of the Chicago Bears. And today's area, you guys saw it in the thumbnail and the title, the wide receiver group. We did the offensive line last time. Make sure you go and check that out. That's arguably the most interesting area and what's going to end up there. But the wide receivers comes in a close second. So there's been a lot of hate so far on this group. There's no doubt about that. A lot of guys say there's not a big name. There's nothing going on. Justin Fields comes out and says, hey, listen, just because there's not a big name doesn't mean the talent's not there. These guys are ready to ball out. And I got to agree with it. It's a whole new playbook. The talent is definitely there after you learn more about these guys. I'm going to hit on that in a little bit. And also, I'm here to break down exactly each player and their entire intention and why they're in this offense. But before we begin, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Stupid Car Tray. Tired of your pizza topping sliding, office coffee distracting you while driving, grease and other stains getting on your seat, or you're just enjoying a game on the couch and don't want to lean over? Look no further than the Stupid Car Tray. Visit www.stupidcartray.com and use discount code J16 to get 16% off your entire order. Link in the description. And now Stupid Car Tray has cup and mug holders. You can never have too many cup holders in your car. The Stupid Car Tray allows you to be able to place Slurpees, Hydro Flask, Yetis, and more safely and secure during your ride. Use code 16J, not J16, 16J at checkout to get 16% off your entire order. So with that, let's go into who the group for the Chicago Bears is at the wide receiver room this year for the 2022 Chicago Bears. So we'll start off real quick. There are 12 total guys. To start off, obviously, Darnell Mooney, 5'11", 173 pounds, 24 years old. Velus Jones Jr., 6 foot, 225 years old. He's a rookie. He's an older rookie, but that's okay because COVID, obviously, a lot of guys didn't get to play. They ended up extending their college careers. So welcome to the Chicago Velus Jones Jr. A lot of guys are excited about him. We're going to hit on that a little bit. Byron Pringle, 6'1", 203, 28 years old, came from the Kansas City Chiefs. Equanimeous St. Brown, 6'5", 214, 25 years old, came from the Green Bay Packers. Luke Getsy already has a connection with him, which is always good to have in your new offensive coordinator. Dazz Newsome, 5'11", 184, 23 years old. David Moore, 6 foot, 219, 27 years old from the Seattle Seahawks. Welcome to Chicago. Honestly, I am very excited about that signing low key. Isaiah Clouter, 6'2", 198 pounds, 23 years old. Chris Finke, I think that's how you pronounce it, 5'9", 186 pounds, 26 years old. Dante Pettis, 6'1", 195, 26 years old. Kevin Shaa, 5'10", 166. They didn't list his name, but he's an undrafted free rookie, so best of luck to him. Tajae Sharpe, 6'2", 194, 27 years old. And Nsimba Webster, 5'10", 180, 26 years old, likely going to be a special teams guy, but he is registered as a wide receiver. So 12 total guys, and I don't see half these guys, unfortunately, making the active roster. A lot of our wide receivers usually are on the practice squad, like linemen. So just keep a lookout for that. But best of luck to this entire group just to start things out before we start breaking it down some more. These guys are going to be, it's going to be a fun year because think about it. 3/4 of them are new faces to the Chicago Bears when really there's only one starter that came back, and that's Darnell Mooney, fan favorite, who honestly could go to the moon this year. Now that Justin Fields has an offensive coordinator that can actually call plays and use Darnell Mooney, he always flashed that potential, but unfortunately it just wasn't good in Matt Nagy's play calling. So, and also Darnell Mooney is definitely the leader of this squad. So you have 2 rookies, you have 6 new signings. So 3/4 of the guys, 8 out of 12, if you do the math, are new players, new group, new opportunities, new chances. So what you're going to see out of this group, just before we start to break it down, what we like and what notable things we should be looking out for during training camp, is that in training camp, you're going to see a lot of different combinations of groups of wide receivers. You're going to say who works best with who. Obviously, Darnell Mooney is wide receiver 1, just putting it out there. If you guys watched the last video, I do who I think is going to start and actually make this roster at the end of it. But Wide receiver 1 is Darnell Mooney. There is no doubt about that. So he's going to be working alongside a lot of guys. And also you have to factor in a lot of things, size, speed, and ability and type of wide receiver that they are. So Luke Getsy is going to be throwing all different types of combinations out there, along with Matt Eberflus, and Ryan Poles is going to keep a close eye on that as well. Who works best in certain play packages. Sometimes you're in the red zone, you're going to need a bigger wide receiver. You're going to put St. Brown out there who's 6'5". You're going to put Pringle out there who's 6'1", or you're going to put, you got a deep ball going, you're going to have Mooney and Velus Jones Jr. out there. A lot of combinations, a lot of different play calls that you can do with this group of wide receivers. So stay tuned for that. And also, it gives the Bears the opportunity to potentially still go look at free agency. A lot of undrafted rookie free agents. Some people are going to get waived, and there are still wide receivers who have experience that are veteran wide receivers that are going to look for a cheap contract just to make some money this year, and also play the game that they love, the NFL, National Football League, American football. Just putting that out there. So what do I like about this group? Let's just start off with, there's a lot of different types of players, and I was kind of hitting on that before, but there's all different types of wide receivers in this room. It's not just big wide receiver heavy. It's not just deep ball heavy. It is very, very spread out, gives a lot of opportunities for guys to show what they got, and give Luke Getsy and Justin Fields a lot of different options who they could want on this roster. So this group was designed well, in my opinion, for various different schemes. I mean, you have to remember, Luke Getsy, new Bears offensive coordinator, came from Green Bay, and Green Bay seemed to always have success at wide receiver no matter who they drafted. Why? You had Aaron Rodgers, arguably a very talented quarterback and future Hall of Famer. I'm just stating facts. I'm not saying I like the guy. I'm just stating facts. But also, Luke Getsy was a huge part of that as well. He was the wide receivers, quarterbacks coach, and offensive assistant for the last almost decade for the Green Bay Packers. So success is where these guys are going to be built different this year. And that's a weird saying, but what I'm going to explain it is that you are going to see success in different ways that you're not used to. And that's what you saw in Green Bay. Randall Cobb, for example, why he played for the Green Bay Packers. He's not the biggest guy. He's an NFL athlete. He's obviously a large human being. But, you have guys like DK Metcalf out there. You have guys like Randy Moss that once played big, talented guys. But Randall Cobb was just as effective in the system as Devontae Adams to a certain extent. I'm not saying that they're the same exact player, or Jordy Nelson, or any other wide receiver that, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, all these different players that the Green Bay Packers had. That's what Luke Getsy is going to do with this Bears team. And that's why everyone's so much different on this roster. And there's going to be all different opportunities for all different types of players and all different types of play action. So, you're going to have small guys who can split through defenders easier. And that's going to be Darnell Mooney and Dazz Newsome. You're going to have big guys who can be red zone type players. You're going to have St. Brown and Pringle. And then you're going to have speed. You're going to put, Velus Jones Jr. You could put in Webster out there too. And then David Moore. You're going to have all these different types of combinations of players, and it's going to throw defenses, because then when you switch it up and you do something different that they're not used to, it's a different type of play. It opens up the playbook, and they're like, we can't even predict what the Chicago Bears are going to do, which the Bears have been very predictable over the last couple of years. So we all know that. So at camp, you're just going to see all these different types of combinations. You're going to see all different types of play calls, and you're going to see stuff that works for Justin Fields and the wide receiver. So camp is going to be very, very heavy on different types of plays, expanding the playbook for sure. And you already know that Justin Fields is looking very, very deeply into that playbook, which is great. And Luke Getsy is going to get him there. And then a few notable things, though, about this group is that it's not, again, the biggest wide receiver group. And I know that when we wanted Christian Watson because of his size, we didn't get him, unfortunately. But we do have, St. Brown, who he's the only guy above 6'1", and he's not an NFL caliber starter. He'll get a lot of playing time, especially in the red zone, but he has his own flaws too. So you have to consider the fact that DBs are bigger than our wide receivers, and that's a problem, especially for jump balls, unless, Darnell Mooney's got a 45-inch vertical that can jump over anybody. That's more of a challenge. Height is just naturally there for some of these guys, fortunately enough for them. And it's going to be harder against DBs for this small of a group, but it depends on the type of plays that are also being ran. So you're going to see a lot of challenges with that. And we have big corners and DBs now, thank goodness. So that gives a lot of practice to this team during training camp. Another thing about St. Brown, I like St. Brown. I think it was a great signing. A 6'5" wide receiver. You don't come across that every day. But he does have issues catching the ball. He seems to get one step ahead of himself, and he's already looking downfield before he's fully secured the ball. And that was something actually that the Green Bay Packers fans on Twitter called out to us. They're like, hey, he's a good ball player. And Tony's called it out too. He's a good ball player, but he always seemed to drop it in pretty critical situations. So that's just a maturity thing at that point for him. So hopefully we'll see him really having a good grip on things, really trying to make sure that he is thinking one thing at a time quickly, but one thing at a time when he is on the field, and not potentially creating a turnover or anything like that, or just a drop that could be a drive killer momentum. And then finally, Justin Fields really only knows Darnell Mooney. I mean, these guys obviously played on the same team the last couple of years, or last year, and that's all they have in regards to, Dazz Newsome's worked with Justin Fields too, which they worked out well. But I mean, this whole group is new to him. So he's going to have to learn certain things. He's going to have to, there's going to be growing pains over the next few months. And I'm here to accept that. As a Bears fan, I always want the Bears to do well, but there is going to be growing pains, especially this year with such a drastically new group. But camp is going to help that, especially in regards to Velus Jones Jr., talking with Justin Fields, which a report just came out that, the week before the draft, Justin Fields was messaging Velus Jones Jr. like, we cannot wait to have you. We really hope we get you. I can't wait to work. Even if it doesn't work out, we should definitely still, put in work together. Got to love that relationship. Got to love that leadership from Justin Fields, and all is going to keep going well in that front. So that's what you're going to see at camp. You're going to see a lot of different things. You're going to see a lot of baby step things, and it's going to be growing pains, but it's okay. As long as we're doing it in camp, I would rather have that than in-game action, even though in-game action is where you really get to test your skills, because you're going against guys that you don't practice against 4 or 5 times a week. So the starting 5 or the starting 3, along with the reserves that I think are going to make this roster, is wide receiver 1 is going to be Darnell Mooney. What else do we need to say? Breakout season for sure is coming up this year, we hope. And I really think that is going to happen for Darnell Mooney. Wide receiver 2 is probably going to be Byron Pringle. If he wasn't in a stacked room in Kansas City, which that's how, Ryan Poles knows him. And Ryan Poles also brought him in. He could arguably be a wide receiver 1 in some other locations. I mean, if Darnell Mooney wasn't here, he'd be a wide receiver 1. But he's a tough, very athletic player. If you go look at his highlight clips of last year in Kansas City, he would get popped by defenders, get right back up. He's got crazy speed. He fights for yards, and I'm really excited about him. I think that he's going to be a great pairing with Darnell Mooney. He's on a 1-year contract, but still, I think it's a great pairing. Wide receiver 3 is going to be Velus Jones Jr. Just from what I'm seeing already in the communication, the relationship, and why they brought him in Chicago. Again, 4.31 40 speed. That is crazy fast. He's a deep ball threat. He knows how to get separation, and that's what's going to make him a very valuable target for the Chicago Bears offense. And then the reserves, you're going to go Equanimeous St. Brown. Again, you need a tall guy on this roster that's above 6'1", and he brings that. He's going to be more of a red zone target type package, but I would love to see him sprinting downfield and outpacing defenders and putting his arm out and, catching a ball and running with it, because he's got longer legs than almost everybody on the field. So I'm excited about that, but I think he's going to be more of a reserve guy. Another reserve guy is David Moore. And I know I kind of hit on David Moore earlier, but he comes from a very talented, he's worked with Russell Wilson for the last couple of years over in Seattle. Also he is tough as nails for being a 6-foot guy. He packs a punch. I mean, he's 6 foot 219. Darnell Mooney's an inch shorter and 46 pounds lighter than him. So this guy is tough. He's going to bulldoze through guys. He's got pretty good speed, and he can help bring that mentorship of working with a Hall of Famer and Russell Wilson over to Justin Fields and see that potential. And again, he's worked with a very good quarterback, so he knows what he's going to be able to take, what it takes to get a good quarterback and how to help improve that offense. So I think David Moore will make this roster. He is also on a 1-year contract. And then the last guy, I kind of called it out earlier, but Dazz Newsome, I really think is going to make this roster. A lot of fans like him. We brought him in last year. We signed him to a multi-year rookie contract, but I think he's going to earn his spot. He has a chip on his shoulder from last year, getting that injury in training camp, unfortunately, last year, where I believe he broke his collarbone. He had an upper body injury and was out, and that really hurt his placement on the roster. He was a practice squad player, so he still was able to get that medical attention. But I really think Dazz Newsome has a shot at making this roster, and he also is a good special teams guy. So stay tuned for that, but I think that this is Dazz Newsome's year to make it, and I'm really excited for him. So camp should be fun with the wide receivers. I'm looking forward to it. You should be looking forward to it too. We'll have more later this week on other areas that the Chicago Bears are going to be looking at in regards to training camp. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, and we'll see you guys next time.